In between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, should I start now?
Yes, sir. We can start the session.
Okay. Okay, very good morning, and thank you for inviting me for this webinar. Today, what I thought was like, little bit more on the product development I will explain. So probably you can ask a lot of questions at a later time. So to start with, I hope you are all staying safe. So now during the COVID-19 health crisis, a lot of startups have come up with a lot of ideas, and all these things energies are focused in developing healthcare equipment as well as essentials here. And we have seen the gadgets include respirators, ventilators, and robot sensing systems like robots, drones, tunnels, and things like that. Also rapid test kits and all. So what I thought was like, of course, it shows the robustness of the Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem. But what I thought is like we should give some idea about how to convert these ideas to real commercial product. Let me take an example of the ventilator, for example. A lot of people are working on that, starting from simple respirator type using ambu bag and things like that. And of course, people are even coming up with, from engineering colleges and all, they're coming up with prototypes within 2 weeks, 3 weeks and all. But are we able to use them in the real condition? Unless we are forced to use, where it's a great pandemic and we are forced to use, there are not much ventilators available. So if you take the case of ventilators, it has come to a stage like people are not really, running short of ventilators because, there was some idea like, using ventilators is not an option here in the COVID-19 case. So a lot of discussions are going on there. But whenever a startup is planning to come up with any such solutions, I think they should consider it as like, we are going to come up with a product which will be used at a later time frame also, not only just for this emergency situation. So all those aspects we have to cover. I cover some of them. Every startup has to understand, like, it's a global, like nobody stops us or anyone from importing any equipment from any other country. So may not know, we are come up with a product in India. So I think it is not. Hello?
Yeah, I think there's some network issue, I guess. Hello?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm audible, right?
Yeah, it's better now, sir. Getting better.
Okay. So, I was talking about that is like, I was talking about like anybody can import anything from other countries. China we can import. So many started their things like, come up with products.
Sir, the voice is breaking a lot. So if you can, sir, stop the video, so it will, I think it will save the bandwidth in that case. So we can stop the video. Hello, sir, can you hear me? Wait a second. So I think there is some issue going with Zoom. Not able to unmute. Wait a second, sir. Sir, yeah, now you're online.
Okay.
So I think, sir, we can do one thing. We can is to stop the video. If you can stop your video and then run the presentation. So I think that will save the pen.
Yeah. You can also do that from your side, or let me.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you able to see now?
Not we are not able to see the screen, sir. Not right now. Yes, now we can see the screen now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's open now.
Oh, it is very unstable. I think maybe my side. I'm not very sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
So
no
to
issues.
continue now.
Yeah. Sure, sir. Yes, we can.
Okay. So, yeah. So I was talking about, like when we are thinking of coming up with a product, never think like it is only for India. So we have to think like we are going to come up with global product. That's what I just wanted to emphasize on that, because there are many competitors, even from outside they can come. So one more slide, I just wanted to explain how the whole social economic work here. See, there are government is funding a lot of fundamental research institutes like TAFR and other places where you get the international publications as the output, and the output from all these fundamental research should go to applied research where the output will be patents and copyrights, like institutions like CSIR labs and all. So then the output of these applied research should get converted into a real equipment. So that is where startups work. For example, if I done an MRI, the MRI is already the basic fundamentals happens in the research labs, and the output comes to some of the research labs, and finally all those ideas are put together to come up with a product. For example, an MRI scanner. That is where the startups and the product development comes, and the output of that is the real service to the society. That is what. So we always blame like government is funding a lot of money in the fundamental research. What happens? It really gets through the channel, and finally it comes to as a product and the real service to the society, where the startups are benefited. And also for startups, they have also started to sell the product and make money. Taxes, tax goes to the government. In the funding, fundamental research is funded again. So this is how the cycle works. So let us focus on the startup, the final the stage where ideas are there and you want to come up with a product. And also I wanted to emphasize on innovation, because everybody talks innovation. So what is that? Normally it is defined as a process of translating an idea or invention into a product or service. That is what the normal definition, but I always would like to add, like that creates value or for which customers will pay. What it means is like I may be very good in nanoscience and I may come up with some device, and it should not happen like I am expecting others to buy that. So it is like there should be someone to buy for the innovation what you are going to create. Then only it is called as an innovation. So that means like you need to really understand what customer needs. This has to be understood first, rather than I come up with a product and then looking for the customers to use it. Okay, so this is very important. On the lighter side, I just want to keep you all focused on this one. On a lighter side, like if somebody falls down, I break my hand. Okay. So I have to tell each and every person I meet what has happened to me. For example, I fell down during cycling or during games and all, But now in this slide, I'm showing a thing which has got its own explanation printed on that one. For example, the first one, dog bite; second one, fell down from the stairs and things like that. So that is what it's on a lighter side, but still I'm just telling like it will be very, very energy saving. Otherwise, you have to tell each and every person you meet what's happening. Spending so much energy. So that can happen, this is a very interesting innovation on that. So whenever somebody gets on to an innovative idea, I'm going to start a idea converting into a product. There are a few self-check you have to do. The first one is originality. This is very, very, very important. Originality, whenever we used to talk with the startups, we will find that the idea came from somewhere. They have read somewhere earlier, or from some IEEE paper they have seen some idea. That's what they claim it as their own original idea. I'm not blaming on that one, but I just wanted to caution you that it should be original idea. It doesn't mean that you have to come up with something which nobody has thought of. You can also come up with an incremental innovation. For example, a product already exists. For example, a mobile phone already is there. So can you use the mobile phone for ECG as an ECG recorder? So that also is an innovation. But always look for some original thing. It is not to copy anyone, because you are going to put your life into this one. The prior art starter, this is very, very important. Before you start anything, you have to know what has happened till now. So you have to do enough prior art study through patent search, or take the help of some of the university departments, IP departments, but you have to know what has happened till now. Then only you can think of what can be done by you, so that people will be buying that one, as well as there is a selling proposition on that one. Patentability, this is also one important thing. You have to really understand your idea is patentable. But my own personal thing is like, you have to be very, very careful at the time of doing patent. That is like, once you do a patent, you are disclosing everything, and people can always go through that and come up with some additional thing. That is one thing. If you don't patent also, when your product comes out in the market, people can buy that and try to find out, and then understand and come up with another product. So that is possible, but still, so you have to plan the filing of the patent in such a way that when you just launch the your product, you have to file the patent. But you have to be very sure that the idea is original, so that nobody will come up with that idea at the same time. So it's actually a little tricky. On case-to-case basis, you have to really do the patenting. So that is one thing which you have to take care. Whenever you are coming up with an idea, the market analysis, competitive products and all, I think you have to do a very thorough exercise on that one. Why I am talking about all these things is like, you have to do enough homework before getting into the idea. Development cost and time, very important. Now, we cannot, as a startup, we cannot think of a development which will take 4 years, 5 years and all. You will run out of cash, and it will be a problem there. And also time. How much time is required and how much cost is required. If it requires a few millions of dollars, it is not a good idea to start initially, unless you have a lot of money on, of your own. Product cost, this is very important. If you are going to come up with a very innovative mobile phone for 5 lakhs, nobody is going to buy. So you have to really understand what will be the product cost. I will cover what is meant by product cost, because people always get misguided, saying like, the product cost is the BOM cost, but there are many, many factors to be added to that. Repeatability, this is very, very important factor. I can come up with a prototype of my own with my own hand, I can build. But think the prototype, the initial proof of concept you are doing with your own team, your own hands. But you have to transfer the whole thing to a manufacturing unit. In the manufacturing unit, all these products are built by ITI person, diploma person. He is not going to look at every component, how it works, whether the tolerances are okay, whether I have to do a fine tuning. All those things will not be taken care. So when you do a design, it has to be a pakka design. What it means is like, if you are giving the document, the design output document to a manufacturing unit, and an ITI guy follows the same document processes and procedure, the product should automatically work. So that is very, very important. One example I will just talk about, those who are in hardware, electronics hardware, there are tolerance rings associated with resistors. We never usually used to bother about that one when we build the product. You can put very tight tolerance, but then the cost will go up. So you have to do a real analysis, tolerance analysis, to make sure that your circuit will be very stable and what is the tolerance required for that. That is how your components are to be identified. Manufacturability, that is another area where, whatever product you design with your own hand or with your team, it has to be manufacturable. What it means is like manufacturing is normally an automated process, so it has to comply to that one. The manufacturing machines require some special marks, some special, some gaps, lines, the gap between the lines and things like that. So all those things you have to take care of. Even in the case of the mechanical enclosure, you can do a very good mechanical design. But when you are doing a mechanical design which can be manufacturable, for example, injection molding you will be using later on, it has to be designed in such a way that there is enough draft given so that the manufacturing process can be applied on that. Why I am talking about all these things is like these things should not be an afterthought. It should be done in the initial stage itself. Then sustainability, that is like, you have to have many, sustainability in the product range. You cannot start with one product and the whole life will work on that one. So you have to always have that in mind. What is the next one? There are other startups, who have got idea and they develop some proof of concept and they want to sell the idea and leave it. They are not really interested in taking up the volume production sales and starting a company and all. This is also possible. You have to take the right help of some of the mentors who can do this process. So the problem is like, the valuing your technology. That is very, very tricky thing. It is not a straightforward thing. So you have to really do some real homework. It should be attractive for the buyer or the licensee who is going to take the technology. So this is also possible. Now let me get on to the stages in development. The idea by the innovator. So you have idea. The next one is this idea is yours. You have to prove this idea to others. That is called proof of concept. So you have to prove that this idea will work. So in order to do the proof of concept, you can use any available standard equipment like power supply, like for example, an oscilloscope, for example, a MATLAB software, a laptop, whatever you want, you can use it. Here, we are not going to bother about the size of the product, but you are going to show that your idea is going to work. So that is what a proof of concept. Once proof of concept is done, then you really move on to the real design, where there will be electronics design, there will be mechanical design, there will be industrial design, there will be power electronic design, there can be RF design, there can be, you have to take care of design for manufacturability. So that's what you have to do, a complete design. Once design is done, then you go for the manufacturing, then you start the sales and marketing. But here, the idea and proof of concept is normally done in an incubation center. Why? Why this incubation center is required? Because Government of India has started incubation center at every place. Why? Because the government wants you to focus on the idea rather than, for example, you think like you will take a small shop outside. You have to think of paying the taxes. You have to think of paying the internet bills at time. You have to think of paying the electricity bills on time. You have to keep track of that, municipality tax, pollution control. All those things you have to pay. And so that, you will spend your time only on that rather than on your idea. That is why the incubation centers are there, which are subsidized space. You just go there. The incubation center authorities will take care of everything. You focus only on your idea. That is the whole idea. And the proof of concept sometimes needs some money, and the design will surely need some money, and manufacturing will need some money. So all these money has to come from an investor, unless you have your own a lot of money. But normally it has to come from investor. And the sales and marketing, in order to do that, you have to start a company. So these are the stages in development. I will cover more details on the product a little later. I think you may be knowing about this business model canvas. And I started this an idea. So I went through the Stanford University model. I took some courses also. So they give this canvas. They will ask you to fill it up in all these columns. I think you may be knowing that. So you will find it so difficult to fill up because you don't know. So those things will emerge over time, and then you will finally fill up everything when you are matured enough. I think a few points I will cover on this one. It's a step-by-step process. You have an idea, you discuss only with trustworthy people, because that is very, very important. Don't go and spread your ideas. Then you first file a provisional patent. The validity of provisional patent is 1 year. So your idea is just taken care, safe. And if you want to register a company, because many of the government funding asks for the company registration, then identify and occupy an incubation center, have a business model, get some government funding. So much of funding available from all the places. I think KIIT-TBI is facilitating that. Demonstrate proof of concept. It is very important because you have to show that your idea works. At that time, you are very clear. You can file a patent. But the thing to be remembered is like no publication till then. We always get excited and go and give talks about our ideas. But then your idea has become publicly known. You cannot file any patent there. So once that patent is filed, then you take the other things like, go to market strategy, move out of incubation, form the complete team, and then business starts there. So now onwards, I will focus on my theme, that is the concept product. These are the stages or steps involved in converting a concept to a commercial product. I will explain this each stage. The first one I have already explained, proof of concept. Your idea has to be proven to others. People have to believe that your idea works. That is proof of concept. The proof of concept, the next step is design. These also, as I explained, all stages are involved. Industrial design is very, very important. How it looks, aesthetic as well as ergonomic design is very, very important. Because when somebody is going to buy a product, or even to go and explain to your investors, you have to show a product, you should be really good. Don't think like I will make a small dabba with sheet metal and anyway it works, but that is not enough. So you have to do the industrial design, very good industrial design. Then the design is done in such a way that it is almost near to the form and fit of the final product. So that is done. Then you move to proto build. The first one is proto. First proto, you need not go for tooling and all. 3D printing you can do, vacuum casting you can do for mechanical, sheet metal parts you can do, but that is the proto build. It is almost done. You make alpha proto, give to your customers, you do testing yourself, get some corrective iterations, and then come up with a beta proto. So the beta proto is done. The beta can be maybe 10 numbers, 50 numbers, depending on the product. Once everything is finalized in the proto build, you move to a pilot build. The pilot build, it is also called the MVP. And the pilot build is normally built at the final manufacturing facility. Okay. So after that, you will not change the manufacturing facility. So pilot build can be 50 numbers, 100 numbers, because sometimes, when you build the pilot, you can make 40, 50 numbers. So that is the tooled up one, the final product that you have to give it to a compliance testing also. The compliance testing, why it is required is very, very important. When you are coming up with a device, it should not happen like when your device is switched on, all other devices nearby stops working. Your device may be unnecessarily emitting radiation, or your device may work in the lab, but in an ambient where there are many devices, it may not work. So it is these things you have to take care of. For example, in earlier days, when a mixie is switched on, TV doesn't work. A lot of lines come up. But nowadays, all those things are taken care. When lighting comes, we are advised to switch off refrigerator, TV, and all those things. Nowadays, it is not that much, but still you can do that. So all those things are taken care. So how do you take care of those things? Like there are some tests where you can fire very high voltage, like 6 kV, 11 kV, and it depends on where your final product will be working. So you can fire those very high electrostatic discharge and see what happens to your devices. Your device sometimes may go bad. Sometimes it stops working till the ESP is fired. Sometimes it comes back after some time. Okay, so it all depends on the types of product, because if it is a healthcare product, if it is attached to the life-threatening product, then you have to be very careful. It should not go bad even with the electrostatic. There are standards already available. I always suggest, identifying a standard is little difficult because you have to understand. If you want to understand a new product, understand where the product will be working. For example, in a cold store, I will be taking this into a cold storage. In a cold storage, if you wear woolen clothes and things like that, the EST requirement will be very, very high, maybe 22 kV and all. Then your product should be designed in such a way that even if 22 kV is fired at the device, nothing happens. It gets discharged to the ground. Still your device works. That's how you have to find out. The easy way is like, if you can identify some similar product as that of yours, then you find out what are the compliance they have already done. So you can follow the same thing. That is the easy way. And compliance testing is done. The next one is reliability testing. Whenever you are coming up with a product, you have to give reliability, warranty. For example, 5 years warranty I am giving. But this is my new product. I have not tested for 5 years. How can I give warranty for 5 years? I cannot just blindly give 5 years. There are some highly accelerated life tests. For example, your device is taken and put in a pressure cooker for 2 hours. I mentioned pressure cooker. What it means is like the temperature is 85 degrees Celsius, relative humidity is 85%. You burn the device for 2 hours. Take out the device and test it whether it still works. And there are methods. Instead of pressure cooker, you can use some ovens, temperature, humidity ovens and all. So sometimes you have to take online reading whether your device is working when it is given the temperature shock, vibration shock, and things like that. So then you can, from this, you can find out or you can estimate what can be the life of the product. We have done many such experiments where the life comes like maybe 10 years. So then you can tell reliably that, okay, 8 years I can give warranty. That is how you have to do reliability and all. For example, you are coming up with a device which is a device. So there's a possibility of it falling down. Okay, then you have to think what height not fall. So maybe 2 feet. Okay. So then what, when it falls, it can fall on granite, it can fall on concrete. But to identify all those things, define your testing standards. So when you come up with the device, you have to take care of all those things. Okay? It's not very simple, but once you understand, I think it will become okay. The design manufacturability, this is one of the things what normally we don't really care about, design for manufacturability. For example, in order to make the product very small, we will put components at every place of a PCB. Okay, so in a real manufacturing unit, that is not possible. In real manufacturing unit, SMT lines are used, then sometimes BGA ball grid arrays are used. So you have to really take care of that one. And also design for testability. That is also very important. You are in a manufacturing process, it starts with a bare PCB, then it goes to stencil, put some gum type of thing, glue, then some solder paste, then the SMT components are placed at proper places, then it goes through oven, it gets soldered, then it goes to any manual position of the components. For example, some of the components are like capacitors. Voltage capacitors are not SMT, they are all through hole. So you have to place them, and that's how it goes. So at every stage during the manufacturing, you have to see whether till now this stage everything is okay. It should not happen like all the manufacturing is done and then you find that it is not working. So at the in-between stages in the manufacturing unit, these are tested. So you have to provide enough tests so that when the testing is done, it will not really touch the real component basis, but it will touch at the nearby test pads, so that it will not spoil the board. So all those things you have to do. Design is very important. I can design a mechanical enclosure to really take care of the tolerances in mechanical tolerances of every part, so that when the things are assembled, it is properly assembled. It should not happen like I specify plus or minus, for example, 1% tolerance available. So yeah, in one part may have -1, the other part may have +1. Still, it should work. So you have to really do a tolerance analysis, and sometimes you have to tell it is only 0 plus 1% or 0 minus 1 only. So that plus is not allowed. So all those things you have to do. Then complying to standards is very important. It is not like CE is applicable only to the electronic board. Yeah, it is also very important how the grounding is done to the enclosure. So all these things are very, very, very important. And where the gaps should be given, where the hole should be given, where the vent should be given. So all those things are very much related to these standards also. For startups, sometimes it is hard to find motivation. We get very much distracted, depressed. Sometimes, some days motivation will find you like the figure with the picture which is shown. So let's work on the motivation. This slide is, where I am very much working on, like innovation for societal impact. I'm not getting into all details, but the slide shows like there are a lot of possibility for us entrepreneurs and innovators to come up with innovations so that we can create a deep and irreversible social impact. So whatever product you come up with, it should really affect or impact the society. So let us get on to a few examples where I was working on. One is oral cancer, which is a healthcare product. Here, without talking much about cancer, in cancer, the cure for cancer, what I believe is early detection. Whatever chemotherapy, surgery, and all those things, but the real cure comes if you're able to do an early detection. So why these early detections are not happening? Because even if you feel, let us focus on the oral cancer. Even if you feel like there is some issue in our oral cavity mouth, we normally don't go, we keep it with us, and it goes on, and finally, when a stage will come where you will go to a doctor. So the doctor, what he or she does is like, she will take out a small part of the tissue and send out for histopathology examination. So it will take 2 days to get the result, and it is very, very, will be getting into depression to know the results. And also, there's a possibility of missing that if it's a pre-cancer, doctor may not see. So he or she may be taking from some place only. So there are a lot of issues on that. So what we thought is like, can we come up with non-invasive biopsy device? For example, a device which can be used to shine in your oral cavity, and immediately you should know whether I have a pre-cancer, normal, healthy, or cancer. So these 3 things. We came up with a proof of concept. It's an optical technology, and you can see the proof of concept, whatever I have shown in the array.
Hello, sir.
To see.
No, sir. We're not able to see the slides, but we can see the screen.
Let's see. How come? Are you able to see now?
Uh, Not the slide. Yeah, it's visible now, sir. Yeah.
Is there? My side also internet is showing and see. Okay. Should I continue?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how it is. The proof of concept. You can use any available equipment. So finally, you can see what.
But sir, I think the voice is still breaking. So if you think the better receptivity area around, so I think that will be better.
Okay. Let me just see. I think it is not moving now. Let me just see. I think it got stuck somewhere.
But we can see the slides and this point moving.
Okay. Okay, so that's how it is now converted into a real product. Okay, you can see that everything is put in a small engine. So that's how the product design has happened. It is not like always you keep a separate spectrometer, separate laptop, separate things, and all those things are put into a small engine. You can see the first product which has come out. So you can see that a small probe which is used to just shine light in an oral cavity, so that you can see on the screen whether it's a healthy tissue, precancerous as well as the cancerous thing. So that's how it is. So I will just cover a few things and then we will move on to questions. I think this is one another area, like for jaundice therapy in healthcare area. This is how a normal infant is treated for jaundice. The infant is taken into the NICU, and the blue light is shown. It can be LED or light. And the problem here, what we have identified is like the infant has to be taken into the NICU, taken away from the new mother. So then we thought, like, can we come up with a blanket, a fiber blanket, where the same light is used and it is spread, and you come up with a small blanket and it can be just wrapped around the infant. So this is now being used in the market. So why I'm showing this slide is like from the first picture, we thought like this can be a solution, and now we have come up with a solution, and this is being
Hello. Yeah. Hello. You're connected, sir. I think you were disconnected in between. Hello.
Able to hear now?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we were on this
Okay, so I was talking
fiber
about.
blanket. Yeah.
So you already, I don't know whether I covered everything, whether
Yeah,
you
most
want
of the
to
part, yeah, you
but
had covered.
just talk. So now another one is like these are all simple products, but I'm just talking about is a vein viewer. Like for some people, it's difficult to see the vein. So that too, when people are affected with cancer and very weak, it's very difficult. So the health people have to prick many times to get the vein. So we came up with a small vein viewer, just shine light. It's very simple. It uses some infrared light and take the image, process it, and displays an image of the same place. So that's how it works on that. The another one which we worked on was the breast cancer detection. So breast cancer is very prevalent among women, and I always suggest people, women above 40 years, they have to go through these regular checkups. And this is also early detection is the cure here. So we were thinking, and normally what is done is people go for mammography. It is painful also. Talking about the breast, it is like the women above 40, they have to undergo normal regular checkups. And in this case also, the early detection is the cure. And there is always a cure if it is detected early. So normally it is through mammography. So it is painful. So we were thinking whether we come up with early detection, non-invasive way. So I think it got stuck. It's not going to the next slide. Are you able to see
Yeah.
this now?
Yeah, we can see this breast cancer slide.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So but it is not moving to the next slide.
So try to refresh it if that may work. The web page. I think you are accessing it web, right?
Yeah. Okay. Now you can see the slide.
No, no, it's the same. Yeah, now it has changed.
Yeah. So you see a wearable, garment like bra, and ladies are asked to wear. And at present, it takes some 15, 20 minutes to get a result. But you can see, I have shown some issue cases here. So these are all suspected. So why it is not really a diagnosis but this is very much useful for social, health checkup and all. So when you go to some villages and do these tests, and then the suspected cases can be referred for further biopsy, things like that. It's again stuck. It's stuck, I think, sometime.
Yes, I hate this. This.
Yeah, getting stuck. I think. Okay, so I think I stuck here. But the case study where I was involved, and many more case studies are there. But a few things I will talk about when you are developing a product for those are also case studies. One was a solar robotics. Just without disclosing on the technology. So they came up with a very good team, came up with a product and working very well in the lab. But when they took it to the field, they found that it was working for 30 minutes, and afterwards it stops working. So we were called in to find out the issue, and we found that when the solar panels are cleaned without water, they use some techniques so that it always builds a lot of electrostatic discharge. It reaches some stage where it spoils the whole electronic circuit. So we came up with another idea, like, how to get this ESD slowly discharged so that, they can save their circuit. That is one. Second one is like, they have come up with a system without disclosing the product. They use the evaluation boards like Arduino boards, Raspberry boards, all those things. They came up with a system, but I call it as a proof of concept, but they were considering it as a product. In that case, the problem is like, when a lot of boards are combined using cables and all, sometimes it doesn't pass through the FCC requirements. So then we suggested, like, you come up, we will do a redesign the complete on a single board, taking care of all the ESD, MIMC requirement. That is second case. The third case was like, they wanted to, they came up with a product using some of the evaluation boards and all. It's a wearable device for a blind, not blind, it's a deaf and dumb. And the thing is like, it was costing around 40,000 rupees per every device. It is not going to sell in the market. So we have to really come up with a complete redesign for them. And then, we are able to reduce the cost from that 3,000, maybe around 4,000 or 5,000 in volume. So those are some of the things which, to support you also. And so those are some of the case studies which are, all those startups are stuck at the later stage. So why I'm talking about all those things now is like, if you are stuck and you have to, it cannot be after, it should be art over now itself. Another example was like a water level in a dam. So those startups, they start with simple sound, devices which are available off the shelf, and it was not working because the temperature is there and it's not reliable. So you take care of all the temperature requirements, and not many things in a product. To do enough thinking during the concept stage itself. One more item I will just explain. For example, sometimes when we build the product, we get components from local market. Some cables, some components, see these connect and all those. Because that is okay. But when you are going to come up with a real commercial product, it cannot be done like that. For especially area, for example, COVID-19, devices and all. You have to come up with a bill of material where you have mentioned the part number, who's the manufacturer, what is the life of this product, and what is the availability. Okay, so I was talking about, whenever we are coming up with a product with the part number, all the components have to be from authorized dealers or original manufacturer. You don't tell like I have taken from somewhere. Why? Because in healthcare devices, you may be, your relatives may be using the same thing when you go to an hospital, whatever you have designed with. So it has to be very, very carefully designed. We call it as a failure mode analysis. Has to be done during the design, during the manufacturing. For example, if one component fails, what happens? It should not happen like in a ventilator, and one component fails and the patient will stop getting oxygen. It should not happen like one component fails in a device so that the patient gets a shock. So those things you have to take care. And normally in a product cost, I show in a product cost, bill of material cost is only maybe 65% or 70%. Okay, only 70% of the product cost comes from bill of material cost. All other things comes from various things like a freight. When you want to import component, you have to pay freight, you have to pay customs duty. You are taking money from bank, the interest has to be paid. You might have put R&D, a lot of R&D money that has to be recovered. A lot many factors are there which has to be added. The packing will also need some cost. So all those things. So typically 65 to 70% of the product cost is contributed by the bill of material cost. So you have to take care of that. So because a lot of people come up saying like I can make an ultrasound machine with 1/3 of the market cost. They are telling because the ultrasound machines are being sold by GE, Philips, Siemens and all. They have put a lot of R&D effort. They have a lot of marketing efforts, business development effort. All those factors are also added. That is how it happens. And you will also really see that all these things are required. So I think I should stop here and open for any questions on this.
Sure, sir. So all the participants, so if you have any questions, you can just type in the chat box or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. Do we have questions from anyone? Yeah, sure, sir. I am unmuting you, Devashi, sir.
Yeah, I am unmuted now.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Nair, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Debashish Bhattacharjee. I have been an advisor to the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Now, I am part of an organization from Vienna, which is called ICT Impact. So we are into impact investment and impact advisory. It was an excellent presentation. The only thing that I wanted to know from you is that in India, as a consumer and as a researcher, I see that very little effort or thought is provided to ergonomics, one, and the other is basically technical information and literature available on the product and on the user manuals or any literature which accompanies a product. So could you shed some light on how a product developer could himself develop or seek external help in these two segments?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Normally, we don't really care about ergonomic design, industrial design. We are all towards the functionality. That is the problem probably with the engineers, I think. Our mind is like that. So, but you are sure. For example, I will just give an example of a voltage stabilizer, which goes with an AC. So you buy a beautiful AC, very nicely designed one, but when you buy a voltage stabilizer, it's like a dabba, like a metallic enclosure, coming which you cannot keep it. But this was understood by many voltage stabilizer people. Now you can see a voltage stabilizer which is equally designed, well designed in ergonomics and kept, and it is available. So this factor is very, very important because even with the ergonomics, two things are there. One is aesthetic, how it looks. Second one is the ergonomics. That means like, where the switches have to be kept, on-off switches, where it has to be kept, how many switches, then what is the position, how you are going to operate it. So all those things have to be taken care when you design the thing. That is, I think, now I think people are becoming very much aware, probably after iPhone and products like iPhones and all came up. But in India, it is still a lagging thing. But I always used to tell them like it is equally important to come up with a very good design, good looking design with ergonomics for a product. So because even if you spend some money on that, but it is worth doing that. And on the brochure and manual, absolutely, you are right. I think people give very less important, but you can always take help of some tech writers or some people who can come up with excellent user manual. But that may be at a later stage because startups are always worried about the spending. but at least a user manual, so that without you telling anything, you just give the product and the user manual. A person should be able to read that, and or even the soft copy they can read and then operate the device. Yeah, you are absolutely right. These are given very less priority, but these are all prime importance too. Yes.
Sure. Thank you, sir. I hope, sir, you have any other follow-up questions, Devashi, sir? Devashi, sir, I hope that answers your question. So, shall we go to the next question? Wait. Okay, so now we are going to Udyate. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Yeah, actually, we are currently working on, we have some previous business plan and all clear to COVID.
Your voice is not very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello? Able to hear?
Yeah, so it is echoing a little bit. So if you can just come closer to microphone.
Is it audible now?
No, yeah, it is audible, but the voice is not clear.
So actually, we are currently working since last 1 month for the ventilator.
Yeah, ventilator. Yeah.
So to enhance the reliability, we are using, because currently just 2 days before we have started working on the compressor based, but since last 1 month we have worked on a innovative dual bag based ventilator.
Okay.
But when we try to approach local means RSM, what is that, RMRC? There is Regional Medical Council.
Yeah.
They had some certain criteria which are mainly meant for our compressor based ventilators.
Okay.
But FDA has already approved one such ambu bag based ventilator in USA just recently.
Recently. Yeah, I know that. Recently.
So what to do in this juncture? Because and Ministry of actually to add the reliability and to make it for months together, run months together, we have used a dual bag for single person, whereas our counterpart would have heard the same ventilator is used for 5 to 7 persons. But
Yes.
we are taking the just reverse step, that to enhance the reliability, and if some one ambu bag is let's say non-functional or some error or something is precision is losing the precision, then automatically it will detect and the next will start. Otherwise they will start shift wise. But despite of this effort, we are facing problem in what is that means to start with the certification itself. See, okay, when we'll go for the certification, some they will recommend something, all rejects, and this is a different issue. So what to do at this stage?
Yeah, I think nowadays I think people are very favorable with these certification and all, because it is required. Yeah, have you seen? What I will do is I will send a link. The Venture Center, you have gone through the link of Venture Center in Pune.
No, we had directly approached this RMRC actually.
And you go through these Venture Center in Pune.
Okay.
They have a separate specific thing on COVID-19. Okay, devices. So they have given a very detailed one on ventilator also. So it is So whenever whatever case you are not.
No, this is not for COVID actually. This ventilator, we have clearly mentioned that in the red color, that this is not for COVID patients and for the infants.
Oh,
but what is our idea is to what is our idea, because pressure, as far the pressure as CPAP is concerned, this is not possible in case of without compressor.
Yeah, that's what.
So what?
Because people are now.
What is our defense is that because there are thousands of ventilators already procured, which is of ICU grade, compressor based. So let you engage, and as we have information that in all India basis, only 30 patients got the privilege to, not privilege, is they actually required
Right,
the
right.
ventilator. In Odisha, only one person got the
Right.
ventilator.
Yeah.
Okay, means they required
Yeah.
the ventilator. Otherwise, everyone is well and out. So what we told that because one ICU grade ventilator is let's say in a ICU room around 10 ventilators are there. Even one COVID patient is there. No other heart patient or surgical post-surgical patient can be put inside the same room.
Yes.
But our ventilator is good enough for during surgery, after surgery cares, and most of the cases except this respiratory disorders. Okay,
Okay.
so but no one is entertaining that. No, this is for COVID. But we say that
Yeah.
you have this ventilators used for the COVID, and you have lot of scarcity in the peripheral hospitals and everywhere, which is easier to operate. Our this Ambu bag is based is easier to operate than the our high tech ventilators, Lax ventilators. So
Yeah.
and they're not entertaining actually because it's not for COVID. And we
Yeah.
want to be very
Yeah.
transparent
Because
in the sense that it's not COVID means we are specifying in the very front line that it's not for COVID.
yeah, understood. I think everybody is now on COVID. That's why
Yeah.
they wanted to. So the FDA approval, which is recently got in
Yeah.
US, that also if you look at it, very simple one. We were wondering how you can give an FDA approval for this one.
We have taken the basis as a MIT model only. They have given the
MIT
MIT
model.
event. Okay, we have
Yeah.
taken the basis MIT event only, event ventilator, and we have made it reliability factor like remote bug reporting and predictive maintenance and all the means what is that means anything fails then automatically next bypass means alternative arrangement will be automatically carried out.
Yeah.
So these things we have
Yeah.
added to the MIT model only.
Okay. Okay.
Clean MIT
Okay,
model
so
is
I
already
think
got the FDA.
people will listen. People will listen after this COVID thing is over because everybody is now behind COVID thing.
Actually, when we
COVID-19.
started, there was no such clause and all a month ago, but we have invested everything, and at the end of the day, they said, "Oh, no, it's
Oh, I think that compliance. That's what I always used to tell. Whenever you are starting an idea, your ideas are there. It has to be converted to requirement specification document. That's what I normally follow. For example, requirement specification document will consist of your overall specification, electrical specification, mechanical specification, RF specification, regulatory compliance, reliability compliance. So the regulatory compliance has to be, that number has to be mentioned at that point itself. Okay, in the requirement specification document. So if you are able to achieve that same specification, what you are mentioning, like for example, CE certification, maybe 60601 type of certification. There are a few things which are available for a similar thing. So if you are able to do, I think people will approve. That is not an issue at all on that page. Yeah, but you should approach not these agencies, but you have to get them certified by regulatory agencies. As I said, the venture center in Pune, they are supporting. Like what is the standard you have to do, and you can also get them certified by labs like Samir, then ERNDC, then also private labs like TUV, UL. They are all do. So that I think that work has to start in the beginning itself, so that you don't have any hiccups during the development. It is not like once you develop, then you try looking for what is the standard and things like that. So anyway, but once you have already done it, now still you can identify the standard and get them certified. Once you are
we have identified the ISO standards and all. We have already around 15 days before we have identified all the ISO standards, and we have manufactured. We have already some pieces are already manufactured, and this all all the components are the medical standards we have used, though it is thrice the cost of the normal DIY equipments.
I understood. I think you must be talking about ISO 9001 as well as ISO 13485 for healthcare.
For especially the ventilators they have.
That is, ISO 13485 is also involved in the design. That means you come up with a risk mitigation document for that one. Okay, so that is a part of your design. That is also a part of the design, and in the manufacturing also ISO 13485, so that only medical components you will use. You will have the traceability and all those things. You will keep the records for 10 years and all. but I am talking about the product certification. See, for example, CE. How can I use this product with a patient? When you go to a doctor, they will ask what is the certification you have.
Yeah, that's obvious. That's obvious. That's why we're approaching these guys to test it.
That certification is there. You can directly go to a doctor. You can approach any hospital. They will be really taking up. Of course, you have to have some relation.
No, we have doctors. You have anesthetists, two anesthetists in our board, and they are continuously evaluating.
It should be okay, I think. Once you certify and approve for those certification, you can always sell as a product. Not an issue.
They're not entertaining to consider actually. That's the issue.
Okay.
Not this hectic stage. Okay, let's see that.
Well, any requirement help you, please write to me. My email actually in my last slide I was putting. Later on you can take it.
Yeah, I will take it from the go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your valuable suggestions.
Sure.
Yeah, there was another question by Aksit Thakkar.
Yeah. So
Really amazing. Prevention. I am working on robotics, and I like to know after the COVID-19 situation, what will be the changes in hospitals? Like robots will take place at normal things like transport, food medicine, or just primary OPD. Yeah, this is actually going on. I was also discussing with many people, but I think in these cases, robots will be used mainly for giving food, medicine, and also for even for the cleaning purpose. Like spraying some of the chemicals and all. I think that people will be using. That's what I think. Once it is proven, and especially the private hospitals will always look for reducing the manpower. So I think this may be a good, maybe an after effect after this COVID-19 situation.
sure. Akshit, I hope that answers your question. And we have Dr. Ashok as well, who has a question. Sir, I am unmuting you as well. You can ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes.
It's an addition to Dr. Paddy's query regarding that ventilator. I am a cardiac anesthesiologist at medical wing of KIIT University. Actually, I have seen SARS product. In case of COVID, the patients are mostly because of ARDS, the lung compliance is affected. So all these AMBU driven ventilators, they give a fixed volume.
Correct.
So in case of a non-compliant lung, if you set a tidal volume of 500 ml, whatever may be the airway pressure, the machine will try to deliver that 500 ml to the patient. And many of the models, they don't consider the patient's effort. Suppose patient is expiring, at that time machine will try to deliver. So there will be a fight between these two things. Unless otherwise the patient is completely paralyzed or total effort is gone.
Correct, absolutely.
So this type of ventilator is not going to help in COVID patient, as Paddy sir has told.
Absolutely.
So what first thing is that. Second is, so what is the solution? Solution is the critical care ventilator. They are turbine driven and this compression driven, where at least 100 liter per minute airflow has to be there.
Yeah.
Because the 500 ml has to be achieved within 1 second or 2 seconds.
Yes.
15 or 20 breaths per minute means think what is the inspiratory cycle, what is the pause, what is the expiratory cycle. So there should be that much of flow. That's why these models can be of use in the absence of critical care ventilator to other patients. Suppose a snake bite, OP poisoning, organophosphorus poisoning or insecticide poisoning. In those cases in the remote area where there is not that much of critical care ventilator, AMBU ventilator is going to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, because I was about to tell, I don't want to really discourage people who have already developed AMBU bag-based things.
SARS product has got another advantage because of these two AMBU. I have told him 3-4 months later, we will redesign it for the particularly for ARDS patient with isolated. We have 2 lungs.
Yes.
We have 2 lungs. 2 lungs have 2 category of compliance.
Wow.
So his model will be helpful in that scenario.
Absolutely.
Here we are dealing the two lung with a single machine. So the
Yeah.
normal lung is getting damaged.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
That's a very good idea. Very good idea.
right, sir. Right, great. I think we have another question. So I'm just unmuting Chinganan sir. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
want to say something?
thanks, Mr. Ashok, Dr. Ashok.
Thank you, sir. Sir, thank you, sir.
Hello, Dr. Ashok.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Actually, we had also specified in the document that is not for covert and infant, but still, and
But many
we are also. I tried to talk to you just 2 days before, but I couldn't.
pan India
So
is
I
snake
think
bite and
then we can.
insecticide poisoning.
Yeah,
we'll
I
be,
think we can take this decision offline then in that case.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think if we have any other questions from other participants. Nothing in the chat box as well. Yeah. So, ma'am, I'm just unmuting you for the closing remarks from you. Sanita, ma'am.
Much, sir, for this was a very wonderful session we had, though we found some disturbance in between the presentation. So however, the slide presentation will be uploaded in the YouTube link and will be shared with all the participants. So anybody who has missed any slide, then they can go through the details there.
Yes.
And next week we'll be having one session on medical device regulatory affairs and clinical validation and on pilot studies next week. So thank you once again for joining all the participants, and we look forward to have you again next week. Thank you,
Yeah.
Suresh. Sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
all the
Gaurav.
participants. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Look forward to the next webinar, and we'll share the more details on Facebook and through emails to you, all the registration link and the webinar link. And yeah, please let us know if you have any queries or questions. We'll be sharing the YouTube link as well as the presentation with you on the emails.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone. Ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.